Bienvenue and welcome to the last pitching session of the first day at ChangeNOW. It's a pleasure to have you all. We're going to speak about the topic of education. Now, my name is Matthias. I'm the moderator of the session, and I'm also part of the team behind ChangeMaker Exchange, a global support network for activists and social entrepreneurs. I told this in the morning, but last year we did a large study across 1,600 social innovators in 130 countries in the world, and nearly 50% of them were saying that they work on education. We went on to ask them why that is. Why do they think it is so vital and important for human development? And they were saying that in their eyes, it is the biggest lever to overcome societal and social injustice. It's the great equalizer that we have at our disposal as humanity. So without further ado, I'm really excited to welcome you all here. Before we go to the pitches, I'd love to welcome our wonderful jury. Let's keep it very short and sweet, maybe just 20 seconds. Who are you and who do you represent?
Hi everyone, my name is Sandy Snook and I'm representing University of Applied Sciences, and I'm also a moderator and a pitch trainer.
Wonderful, good to have you.
Hello, nice to meet you everyone. I'm Geraldine, I represent EduCapital. We're an investment fund investing across Europe in EdTech and future of work. And we're also a social impact fund, obviously.
Wonderful.
Hello, my name is Florence Rizzo. I am an Ashoka Fellow working in the field of education. The organization is called Ecoluma, and we are empowering teachers and school leaders as change makers.
Wonderful.
Hi everyone, nice to have you here. My name is Edina Csányi and I represent the European Investment Bank Institute. Our key activities are in fact in education and in impact.
Cool, okay, and you have a good soundtrack for your pitches now with a little bit of classic music. But that will not stop us. Thank you. It's great to have your expertise and your personalities here. I want to welcome the first pitcher. We have 5 in total, 3 minutes each. Don't take it personal, but if you run up to your 3 minutes, I'm going to approach you slowly to give you a sign. But now, without further ado, I'm super excited to welcome Oliver from Wildya. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Since I was a kid, I was fascinated by nature. Look, for instance, how they deal with danger. They either flee, freeze, or fight. Very similar to how we humans are currently dealing with the nature and climate crisis. Most of us are fleeing, so pretending somebody else would take care of this, or freezing, just overwhelmed by the sheer amount of the task at hand. Only a few of us, they're actually fighting through ecopreneurship, activism, policies, and so on. But we need to get much more people from fleeing to freezing into fight, because the challenges are just like massive. Like, for example, 2 million species that are facing extinction if we don't act now. If that freaks you out, can I see maybe some arms? All right, yeah, a couple. So that's actually a symptom of eco-anxiety, and 810 million people like me are suffering with that. If it's unchecked, it actually has like some severe physical and mental health challenges. That's where Wildya comes in. We help you to transform your eco-anxiety into action. We help you first to understand what it is, to cope with it, and then to catalyze those feelings into action. Now this sounds maybe a bit fluffier than an alpaca, so I go a bit more into detail. We provide weekly courses, daily micro-actions on mental and eco, and we also create a community of like-minded. Last but not least, we're paying nature. So just by you working on your mental health, you also boost nature along the way. Now, is there a market for this? Yes. Right now, apps are focusing on 2 things, either on impact or on mental health. We are actually combining those 2. And if 10% of us are facing this, then we are sure that there's an untapped market of 150 million. Now, how do we tap into that? So people can test the app, and then they basically subscribe to the app. We take 15% of our revenue to pay nature, to protect it, show it back to the user, and that will not only create positive impact for people and nature, but it will also create financial benefits. Now, this is a massive challenge, but we feel we are ready. We have our new specialist, Winnie, our technical enabler, Rob, and me as a nature and business expert. Together, we have a vast experience in research and business world. Together, we are working 24/7 to create this really very ambitious, scary goal of protecting 1% of land until 2030 by helping 300 million people with their lives. Now, but this is something we can't do alone. We need ambitious people that want to help us there. So today, we're looking for grants, impact angels, philanthropist partnerships, so that we can get more people from flee and freeze to fight. Thank you. By the way,
Thank you so much. Thank you. You can pass it on. Fluffier than an alpaca. I will remember that expression. Thank you, Oliver from Wildya. And you will all have the chance to connect and network after the session to go into a bit more detail. Now, next up, we have Valerie from Carbone Scol'ERE.
Think superhero, and superpowers likely find you mind. Flying, superhuman speed. Acquiring those abilities remains a fantasy. Yet, they are other type of hero, human with extraordinary powers. Intrigued? Sunday, June 25th, Montreal, last year. Montreal was covered by a dense smog due to extensive forest fire. The air quality index reached a staggering 407. The smog was visible from France's coast the following Monday. This bleak reality puts to light the interconnection of our communities and our ecosystems. We must reduce our carbon footprint. How? Through education, of course. Back in 2010, COEPFA created a unique initiative to empower youth with knowledge, nurturing them into climate change leaders. The solution is Carbone Scol'ERE. Carbone Scol'ERE is an educational environmental program for students aged 9 to 12. In 10 hours workshop, we teach students to become climate change experts. Through consumption, transport, waste management, and also energy, they studied GHG reduction. Using an online platform, students later on explore this greenhouse gases effect through eco-friendly challenges with their family. Our results speak for themselves. In the last 5 years, we doubled our registered classes in Quebec. And the program has also been deployed in France thanks to Léo Lagrange since 2020. Our solution works because we help teachers, we increase education through in alignment with technology and science classes. We help develop students' awareness and global perspective. We integrate motivational strategies and behavioral changes. And finally, we use human and digital resources to monitor and measure impact. Our social economy enterprise thrives on its network. Together, COEPFA and Fédération Léo Lagrange mobilize key players to support Carbone Scol'ERE. Our extensive network enhances our ability to develop Scol'ERE. Our big, airy, audacious goal is achievable. By 2035, 25% of Quebec schools will have our program, which is roughly 600 establishments, and will deploy Carbone Scol'ERE in 5 countries. We're also looking at fostering an international global challenge, communication challenge, for our students. Time for action.
Yeah, time for, okay.
Who is our next superhero?
Wonderful, time for action. Good last words. Thank you. Next up is Renis from Ignis Careers Private Limited. Yeah? Your 3 minutes start now.
Thank you. Good to see an audience, actually. Our journey started in 2010. We went to this remote village in India, and that school had 140 kids. Most of the girls dropped out by the time they were 13. By 16, they were married. You go to this village, you would find grandmothers who are less than 40. And that's the case with most of India. And the national average was 24% of the kids going to higher education. In this village, almost nobody. The saddest thing was, we would see young boys going to the farm during school hours, and I asked their parents why. And they would ask me back, why send them to school? because they are part of the global education crisis, where millions of kids go to school, earn certificates, and come out without acquiring any skills which are useful for them. Most of grade 8 students can hardly read grade 2 books. And the outcome is 85% of our graduates are unemployable, in the sense they are not even fit to be trained to be teachers. We worked with this village. We have been dancing with them, singing with them, having plays with them, and almost all our students are in college now. No girls get married before before they're 22 because they go to college. Many of them are working in international organizations and companies right now. That's what we could do. In 2014, we became a private limited company, and Acumen invested in us. And in 9 years, we have reached 350,000 kids in 1,500 schools. And all these students earn less than $5 a day. And our services, they cost less than $10 per year per child. This is what we offer. We have English and life skills lab for affordable private schools and government-run schools. We integrate life skills with STEM. One of our best programs is Life Skills for Girls, which integrate core skills which the poor miss all over the country. We work with early childhood, and these kids, they live in forests, more than 10 kilometers from the nearest motorable road, and we work with them. We support NGOs with the research and all that. It's a huge market. There are 400,000 schools catering to 50% of 290,000 children who go to 290 million children who go to schools in India. And we are trying to raise some funds. We were almost wiped out by COVID. We are trying to build it back. We are looking to raise 600,000 so that we could reach 18 cities in the next 2-3 years, could develop digital tools and integrate our program. What we are looking for is partners. Anybody who would like to help us. Okay, funds, grants, partners, collaborators to reach 2.7 million children by 2028. Help them change their life. Help them empower them with life skills. Help these people break the cycle of poverty. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Renis. That's really impressive numbers and great work. Thank you. Next up is Colleen from ByMaker. Your time to shine.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Colleen. I'm here to present you ByMaker, which is a game for the next generation of smart citizens. In a world where our political leaders are elected by a majority of voters, but not a majority of citizens, the question of participatory democracy is extremely important. And the UN Secretary General has said it best. It is not the government that will deliver the SDGs. It is society as a whole. So what do we do? In our democratic processes, there is a group that is highly underrepresented. They cannot vote. These are the children, the future. This is a mobility plan that was designed by Norwegian kids. This is how they tell you how their way to school looks like. This is the challenges that they experience in the city. Now, how do you get them to give you this input? You can invite them to meetings, you can get their parents to take them to your workshop, or you can also try to get into schools. But the results of these processes are very difficult to implement sometimes. Like, what do you do with those drawings, right? And it requires a whole new set of skills from the planners to be able to do something with this wonderful inputs. So I present you ByMaker. For ByMaker, we are using 3D maps of the cities where the children are. And we introduce them with friendly historical characters. Here it could be a friendly Eiffel Tower, for example. And we let them play around with different development scenarios with the city, around mobility, around residential spaces, nature in the city, maybe a Tivoli that could produce energy for the neighborhoods. And then they can decide to build those scenarios and see the consequences of their actions and their choices on the sustainability of the city. We are bridging technology, education, science, and co-creation. We are based at universities, and we have access to cutting-edge technology that will redefine the game. So what happens when the roads can produce electricity? Does my mobility plan look the same? We want to introduce them to those future scenarios. Our competitors were nice enough to let us go into the game. They did not focus on children. They did not focus on education. They are only providing solutions to gather inputs and treat data. This is our idea for the business model. We want to operate with a Robin Hood business model, heavily relying on grants at first and then reducing it, but also keep that vision that all municipalities should be able to afford ByMaker based on their resources. And this might be how children think being an architect looks like, because this is how their parents look like on a construction site. But in a few years, maybe this is how it looks like when it's their turn to be the architects. This is our team, wonderful people, lots of skills within psychology, design, sustainability, and we believe that we are ready to make a change, so please join us.
Wonderful, thanks Colleen. And last but not least, the last pitcher of the day is Jeremy from Regenerative Business Model. Please, join us.
Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy. I'm the founder of We Are Alive, and I'm here to present you the Regenerative Business Model Canvas. It's very similar to the business model canvas you all know and you've all used in business schools or whatever. I must tell you a little story. One day I got invited by ants in my apartment, and it wasn't the first time, but that time I decided not to kill them. I realized that those ants had the same rights as I did to be living in this apartment. And I must tell you the truth, I'm only renting. I wonder when companies will realize the importance of life and that predation on nature, predation on animals, predation on humans is not okay. And we cannot rely on non-profit organizations. They are too busy dealing with the world's biggest issues. On one hand, social problems. On the other hand, planet problems. Companies need to go beyond business as usual, not only at the corporate level, you know, big announcements, CSR data on a report, but at the product level. At the product level, this is where business model shifts. In the United States, there is a huge stream of innovation. In Whole Foods, you can find regenerative rice, regenerative sugar. And they manage to engage consumers with practices that are good for the soil, good for animals, good for people in a holistic way. Our approach goes one step further than circular economy. We need to reduce the excessive use of natural resources, but we also need to take care of life on Earth and give living beings what they need to reach their full potential in their environment. This is the Regenerative Business Model Canvas. It's a tool, and it's also 5 workshops, each workshop a day for 20 Ks. And that does help companies or cities gather coalitions to actually make profit today and invest for tomorrow. Each time we experience, try, demonstrate the tool, we're getting good results. Our business model is we train people and they give back 10% of the billing to the association. What can you do for us? What can we do all together? Well, we would like to massively deploy this tool in companies, put it on the hands of entrepreneurs and impact investors. For that, we need 100K, and we'll create a fund. And also, we're actually going to have a trophy day on May 28 in Paris.
Wonderful. You can stay with me, because we're moving right into the Q&A. And I'd like to ask the other 4 pitchers to join me on stage. Maybe to my right, just for the camera. Yep. Maybe a little more to the right.
I don't know my right from my left.
This way. Thank you. OK, we have about 6 minutes or so. Short round of sharp and crisp questions. Popcorn style, whoever wants to go, pop. And no chronological order. And I see the first one coming up. Please.
I have a question to Jeremy, and that is, can you give an example of a company that has already implemented and how it looked like, very briefly?
We're working on nettle. You know, it grows. And we're helping on the north of France, you know, the region, the farmers, the people with the machines. We are gathering them in one room, and we're going to discuss the opportunity to invest in nettle for the textile industry. And it's very innovative. You know, there's lots of other things that could be done for textile, and they're going to talk and decide if it's worth pursuing.
Cool, wonderful. First test coming up. Yeah, please.
I have a question for Wildya. You said that you aim to have 300 million users. Is the app, does it already exist? How many people are using it at the moment?
Yeah, far away from the 300 million for sure. No, it exists. We basically had a first understanding. We first thought we can go for mental health and mental fitness right away. But one of the feedbacks that we got was like, you need to be more specific and need to start smaller. So we want to start actually with eco-anxiety. Right now, the app is already out. We just onboarded our technical co-founder, because without a technical co-founder, it's quite challenging to build an app in February. So since then, we are working now on version 2 that comes out next month. And then we're going to actually start to increase, like putting more and more people on it. So right now, we have like 300 registered people. And plus, we have now 15 power users that we co-create this app with. But we on purposely didn't onboard more, because it was just a waste of like time and karma. So yeah, far away from the 300, so room to go.
You'll get there in no time. Wonderful. Next question, yeah?
For Ignis, you started in rural areas and you're moving towards cities. Why is this shift? And is a priority for you remains rural areas, or do you want to shift to urban areas?
No, we have been working in both the areas from the beginning. So we work in rural. In urban, it's mostly peri-urban, where you have people, you know, working in unorganized sector. They live around the factories and things like that, and that's where most of the schools are situated. So, well, and they're just newly moved to the cities. So, you know, that's how we are working with. And to work with rural, again, money is a constraint. $10 is a lot of money for a lot of people. So we really have to raise funds from CSRs and other people. We work with NGOs when we go there, with villages.
Cool, wonderful. Next question.
One question to Wildya and Carbone Scol'ERE. Yeah. Hello. Maybe one quick question, like how do you plan to scale your workshops, given the fact that you want to raise quite a large amount? How do you see things? Do you want to develop and put in place digital tools also to help you in that? Yeah.
You said that how we plan to do so. Well, just in Quebec a few weeks ago, we launched our new platform, our new game, Le Monde Scolaire. So that's something we've been working for the last 3 years with private partners and funding. We invest more than a million Canadian to do so. So now our next step is to also work with France to continue this bridge, to do this this link between France and Quebec with this platform. So basically, we're working with private company funding. Here in France, they have the Contrat Impact. They've been the winning prize of the Contrat Impact. So that's good. That assures us a certain financial viability for next years. But we aim to have 400 classes yearly. So we're counting on any other type of funding to help us achieve this goal, starting around 2027. And 2027 is tomorrow, so we're already planning for that, right?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Another question.
I have a question to Colleen, and that is how you measure the impact of ByMaker.
Do you mean the scoring system within the game, or whether the game actually worked?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay, so far the way we have been doing it is that when we go to a classroom, we have a pre-survey with the children, but it's like a live survey where they can flash the QR code and they see the results live. And the first question we ask them is, what comes to your mind when you hear about sustainable development? And across all the test sessions we've had, we've seen that the answers were heavily focused on the environment. Like, they are very familiar with the electric vehicles, sorting their trash, making conscious choices that preserve the environment, but very little answers about social and economic aspects. So after they played with the game, we do this survey again, and then we also ask them to range from environmental, social, and economic. What do you think is the most important? Is it one of them? Is it two of them? Or is it all three? And we have seen that the results post-game were positive. So this is how we are doing it right now. But in the future, it should be integrated within the game.
Okay. Coming up to the end. One very last short question.
Yeah, maybe one question to Olivier. It's your name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. My question basically is, what's your vision on the community side of your business? Do you want to develop it remotely or, you know, within your app? What do you think?
The vision is very big.
Yeah.
Right now, where we're currently standing is we already created the community to start with, because the community is a bit like easier to build, especially without tech knowledge. So we already start to gather people from around the world that are facing eco-anxiety. And what we see is already like there's a variety of people. It's not just young people. It actually goes until up to 60, and from the global north to global south and so on. So mobile penetration and internet access is just getting higher and higher and higher. So in order to be really scalable, I always believe like technology can help us to actually bring more, especially mental health care, to more people. So ideally, digitally, however, creating also the kind of resources and empower the community to start their own local chapter. So just by 2 months already in the Slack community, there's already a person that started their own little chapter in Canada. So that would be really cool to give them the resources so that they can have a local impact on their community. Because let's be honest, an app can only go so far. And it's, again, keeps people to their device. So ideally, let's take them out of this and get them into the local community. But we need to meet them where they are, and they're on their smartphones, so yeah.
Thanks. Wonderful. Thank you. We ran out of time, so if it's okay, I would close. Please raise your hands and give these changemakers a big round of applause. Wonderful work. Lots of potential and impact already. You have a chance to continue the mix and mingling and the networking in the networking area in just a moment. I also want to thank our wonderful jury. You have one last little duty, which is to vote on the so-called coup de cœur. You're getting a little piece of paper, which is to send one of the pitches onto the stage again. Yeah, I can imagine. I wouldn't want to have to make that choice. Thank you to the audience. This is it for today, the first day of Change Now at the Garden Stage and the pitching sessions. We're going to meet back here tomorrow at 9:30 for another firework of ideas from around the world. It was lovely having you. Thank you. Bonne soirée, and see you tomorrow.